The Twisteds are the main obstacle within Dandy's world. They're ichor-contaminated versions of the toons we already know, and apparently this transformation is irreversible. But what if it wasn't? Tumblr user Pretzel Boy shared this alternate universe where the Twisteds have been rehabilitated and turned back into toons. However, they were left with lasting scars from the transformation, including altered bodies, torn clothing, and even changes within their minds. In this video, we'll take a look at the current state of every rehabilitated toon. So let's begin. Pebble. In his rehabilitated form, Pebble kept his enormous size, which now causes him to accidentally knock other toons over all the time. He's still the same lovable pet rock we all know and adore, though now he constantly forgets just how huge and strong he is. Even so, he still asks people to carry him around and wants to lay on everyone's laps. Except he's far too big for that now. Sprout. Sprout kept his height and now constantly slouches so he doesn't tower over everyone else. His body started deforming in the places where the ichor spread, and sometimes parts of him simply fall off, only for him to casually place them back like nothing happened. He's partially blind now and can barely speak clearly anymore. Out of all the main toons, he's the one in the worst physical condition. Cosmo. Now that Sprout can no longer handle the kitchen without contaminating the food, Cosmo has become completely overwhelmed. Even so, they still bake together for fun, and they even manage to get matching patches. He lives in a constant state of stress, running back and forth non-stop, trying to make sure everyone is taken care of. His larger hand, stained with ichor, cramps up constantly. That definitely doesn't help with the mountain of work on his shoulders, and deep down, he doesn't believe he's capable of handling everything alone. Goob. He's much stronger than before, and now hugs people so tightly that he can accidentally hurt them a little, though never enough to actually injure anyone. He's trying incredibly hard to be more careful. He's just way too happy to see everyone again, so he gives out more hugs than ever before. The fabric and stuffing in his feet were too soaked in ichor to be saved, so they had to sew him brand new ones. Scraps. She helped heal Goob when he was first found, and ever since then, she hates letting him out of her sight for too long. Her tail constantly twitches, almost as if she still has the urge to attack. She's always making crafts and little gifts to cheer everyone up. She's simply trying to support everyone in any way she can. Poppy. Honestly, she barely changed at all. Her clothes are a little torn and stained with ichor, but aside from that, she's practically the same as before. She tries to stay positive, though it's difficult for her to encourage everyone else, when she feels like she got away almost unharmed compared to the others. Now she drinks more soda than ever before. Boxton. He hates the hands growing from his head. Sometimes he forgets they're there and gets startled when he suddenly notices them in a reflection. He can't control them directly either. They simply mimic the movements of his normal hands. All the melodies from his music box are out of tune now, and sometimes the music starts playing on its own, even when he doesn't want it to. The key on the back of his head never stops turning, and every now and then it jams or jerks violently with tiny spasms. Finn. Surprisingly, he seems almost completely unbothered considering the condition his body ended up in. He's still the same carefree and funny toon as always. Ichor and water don't mix, and now both exist inside his body. Sometimes leaks start forming through the cracks in him. He makes an absurd amount of puns about his own situation. The others find it a little unsettling, but Finn handles everything with shocking calmness. He's also incredibly good at moving around on his own. The wheelchair doesn't slow him down at all. He zooms from one place to another at full speed. Shrimpo. He can't speak anymore, so now he mostly just growls. Most people consider that an improvement. He pushes Finn's wheelchair whenever Finn asks him to. He acts like it's the biggest annoyance in the world and pretends he absolutely hates doing it. But he also growls at anyone who even tries to touch Finn's wheelchair. His new way of saying, "I hate this thing," is simply pointing at something or someone and then giving an enormous thumbs down. Shelly. Her legs were completely destroyed, so now she has an extremely difficult time moving around. Her frustration over feeling ignored has become much more noticeable than before. It's harder for her to encourage and motivate everyone now, but she still keeps trying anyway. Looking more like a dinosaur feels like a massive win to her. V. She's physically the most stable out of all the main toons, mainly because robots can actually be repaired. She doesn't mind being tall, but she constantly suffers from glitches and system errors. Sometimes she completely crashes and freezes in the middle of whatever she's doing. More than frightening, she finds it incredibly annoying. Gigi. Honestly, she doesn't mind the hand growing out of her head. It lets her carry even more things, and she loves things. She still has everything she stole while she was in her twisted form. No, she has absolutely no intention of giving it back. Although, if you ask nicely enough, she might consider returning something. Sometimes she still crawls around on all fours. According to her, it's just for fun. Tegan. She can no longer speak, considering that most of the lower half of her face is gone and one of her arms is broken. She still organizes tea parties, even though she can no longer drink tea herself. She somehow managed to make her torn dress look almost like an intentional fashion choice. Astro. He still carries his blanket everywhere, even though it's no longer large enough to cover his body. He says he feels naked if his arms aren't wrapped in it. He constantly drools ichor and now can only give people nightmares. They found that out the hard way after he tried helping everyone sleep better. Somehow, he's even sleepier than before. Brusha. She spends most of her time locked away in her room, and there are entire days where she doesn't speak to anyone. Her artwork has become much more abstract and intense, almost like she's pouring raw emotion directly onto the canvas. She reacts aggressively whenever someone interrupts her. She pushes almost everyone away, even people who genuinely praise her art. Sometimes she paints self-portraits using nothing but ichor. Tisha. She's extremely bothered that all of her tissues are torn and stained, even though there's really not much she can do to fix them. She's unbelievably busy, considering there's always something that needs to be cleaned or disinfected. She frequently gets sick from the massive amount of ichor she cleans every single day. Even so, she keeps working despite everyone else's concerns. Glisten. He wears pink bandages tied into little bows to cover the damaged parts of his body. They help him feel at least a little prettier. He still applies makeup to what remains of his face and wears gloves to hide his ichor-stained hands. He wants to become perfect again. But just like his face, his ego doesn't seem like it'll recover anytime soon. It's painfully obvious how insecure he feels, even though he tries to maintain the same confident facade he used to have. Connie. She stays invisible much more often now to avoid talking to people. She's become far more withdrawn. She still enjoys making jokes from time to time, but now it's harder for her to feel like any of it really matters. She feels restless and empty, almost as if she no longer has any purpose. She's much moodier now and nowhere near as playful as she used to be. She's struggling with severe depression. Blot. He unlocked entirely new ways to perform mime acts, and the possibilities seem endless. He's relatively unconcerned about his physical changes. Sometimes it's hard to tell where the ichor ends and the ink begins. If anything, the ichor only made him gooier and stickier than ever before. He still performs alongside his trope, trying to get at least a small smile out of the toons who need it most. Yada. She can no longer properly use her tails during acrobatics because most of them were ripped off, but she treats it as nothing more than an opportunity to push herself even harder. Her performances are crazier than ever. She, Louie, and Blot work incredibly hard to keep everyone smiling and entertained. If she already ate way too much candy before, now it's honestly terrifying. She's always chewing on something, always hungry. She moves through the ventilation shafts ridiculously fast and makes an absurd amount of noise while doing it. She scares toons constantly, even though it's never intentional. Louie. He's pretty bothered by the way his head became detached. Having it constantly wobbling around is uncomfortable, but there's really not much he can do about it. He's more determined than ever to make people laugh, even if that means becoming the punchline himself. Though, honestly, he'd rather not always be the joke. One of his ears ended up half deflated and droopy. On top of that, he moves much faster now, similar to how his toon ability used to work. Except now it's permanent. Razzle and Dazzle. Whenever either of them tries to speak, their voices overlap at the exact same time. Because of that, they're sometimes incredibly difficult to understand. And if both of them try saying different things at once, it becomes completely incomprehensible. Communicating with others has become a serious challenge. Their faces occasionally drip ichor right through the line dividing them. Dazzle has become quieter than ever before. Razzle now takes control most of the time. He means well, but for Dazzle, it's difficult to still feel like an individual toon when both of them have to work together just to communicate. Flutter. She lost her diary during her twisted form, and Gigi gave her a brand new one. Gigi still helps her write in it. But this time, they decided to start from scratch. She actually walks sometimes now, since her wings tend to hurt constantly. She's always restless, wandering through the floors, searching for her old lost diary. Beyond how important it was to her, she's terrified that if it's still somewhere out there and nobody destroyed it, someone might eventually find it and read it. Brightney. Her light remains a bright red, and there's nothing she can do to change it. Sometimes it even flickers uncontrollably. She spends most of her time trying to figure out the best way to help everyone else. She makes sure V stays in good condition and works on building mobility aids for the toons who need them. She wants to repair her lampshade, but she stays so busy helping everyone else that she never finds time for herself. The consequences of becoming a Twisted are painfully clear, but fortunately, most of the toons are trying to handle it in the most positive way possible. If something like this happened to you, how would you deal with it? Personally,